you won't have the flexibility to choose some of the configurations. So it's better to do it on a raw operating system rather than on Bitnami.
Okay. But is there any reason why I'm not able to find my Jenkins by Microsoft like you found the other day?
I have no idea. They removed it for some reason. I don't know why they did that, but
Okay.
it's not there anymore.
All right. Thanks.
Hey Sumit, hello everyone. This is Kader.
Hey, Kader.
Hi, Kadir.
Very good evening. Very good evening. So Sumit, you're all set to start.
Yeah.
Perfect. Are you giving some more time before starting, or are you planning to start
Uh,
right now?
I can wait a couple of minutes. I'll start at 7:05.
Okay, good. Then I'll take a couple of minutes. Team, we are actually looking for some additional people to help us creating content and provide training. So we need some help from you guys. If any of you are interested to come the other side of the world and train the community, we would really appreciate it. It would really help. End of the day, we wanted to develop this community as a grassroots community, meaning community members helping community members in one or other way and take it forward. So if anyone has a topic, any areas that you wanted to train, give training, right? Please reach out to me at testoper@testoper.com. So that's the most important thing that I wanted to share. And then the second thing is, if any of you have access to your manager or to your HR or to anyone, please reach out to me. I will also send you guys the Testoper deck so you can forward it to them. So what we are looking for is also the sponsors who can help us sponsoring the tools that we use, money or in kind, right? Whichever it matters, right? For that particular organization to sponsor us to continue doing our good job, right? To use the tools and pay the money for the tools and so on. And when in person, when COVID goes, to organize in-person event and so on. So the second point I want to sincerely ask you guys is, if you know any of your manager, or even if you have influence to your managers, or you are a manager, or you have influence to HR and your management, that you can help us with, reaching out to get some kind of a sponsorship from your organization will really be appreciated. So those two are my kind requests for today. Speaker, trainer, and help us with sponsorship so we can continue doing this good work year after year. With that, Sumit, over to you.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Kader, for that. So to add on to what Kader said, we're looking. So what we are looking for in sponsorship is that you uh, get us some level of involvement in either HR or your technical training stuff, and then um, we can talk to them and talk about what TestHopper is doing and how they can help us, or we can help them in getting a mutual understanding of how we run the organization. And it's a non-profit. We don't keep any money. Uh, we we are asking for sponsorship in terms of getting the resources loaded and the tool costing, right? Uh, so that's about it.
Yeah. Thanks, Sumit. Maybe I was not clear. Guys don't understand that we are running this for profit, as I've been telling for multiple times. It's non-profit. So when you are a non-profit organization, you are obliged to report it to the government all the money that you get either through the donation from individuals and as an in-kind, or also as a dollar sponsorship from the companies, or spent for the community, right? And the resources who are running the show to show for the community, right? So this is the rule of a non-profit. So like Sumit mentioned, it's critical that we understand, and also we need help. See, end of the day, to do anything we need help, right? To use this tool we need help, and to host the website we need help, right? So a lot of different things that you do, nothing is free, right? Everything costs us. So we need some kind of a support to continue doing this good work. Any help from you guys, like Sumit mentioned, will highly appreciated. Sumit, over
Awesome.
to you.
All right. One more advantage of this is that the test hopper as a community can, once we have some sponsorship, can reach out to more people and can help more people get involved. Currently, we understand that our brand is not that up in the market. So some of the sponsorship will help do that, and more people will understand the benefits of Testopper and get aligned with us, right? So and we'll have a big networking platform where everyone can talk to each other and create study groups and or to do hackathons, so stuff like that, right? Okay, let's get started. Uh, so today, so we have completed 3 sessions. We have 3 sessions left. So what I'm going to talk about today is more in terms of what Selenium Base can do and what are, before we jump into the framework, right? It's very important that we understand what Selenium Base is capable of doing, right? And then how to do a low level of uh, scripts, right? Rather than going directly to the framework, what I thought is that let's talk about some of the important factors that are involved, not just in Selenium base, but any UI functionality, right? Any UI framework. Uh, what we want to do is we want to see what Selenium base is capable of at the action level, what it can do, how it can help us ramp up quickly, and then in the next session, we'll talk about framework and CI/CD pipelines. So both of them are grouped together. We will talk about how to create a framework based on uh, Selenium base itself is a framework, but then we want to make it at a level where we can run it through CI/CD containers uh, and CI/CD pipeline and also Docker containers, and then create an enterprise version of Selenium base, right? So that's the whole idea. Uh, and then in the last session, we'll be doing some projects. We'll implement some of the learnings that we have done, and then we'll review those projects in the last session, right? So today we'll mostly talk about what Selenium base can do, and also how to create tests, right, at a low level and on how to select elements, what are the major factors involved in selection of elements. That's the most critical aspect. Element selection, how we use XPath, how we use CSS, what are the other things that we need to consider while creating those elements and objects, and then how to talk about how to make them so that they are more maintainable, and then we'll talk about some of the basic functionalities or advanced functionalities of Selenium base in terms of actions as well as in terms of the creation of tests, right? So let's get started. What I'm going to do is let me share my screen. So you guys can see my screen. So I'm going to walk you through the entire uh, Selenium library and talk about what you can achieve using Selenium base. So the first step that I'm going to do is I'm going to install Catalan Studio Chrome plugin. So the functionality that I'm discussing right now is how you convert Catalan Studio recorded scripts into a Selenium based script. So what it will help us do is save our test creation time, right? Or if you really don't want to write and find objects and you want to do a recording first, you will be capable of doing that. So it's a great help. So let's say you are running a manual test in your uh, in your work, and that's the first step that you want to do. And then you need to automate the test, right? And then you have to go through the entire uh, process of how you execute it manually, and then you will try to automate that, right? This feature will help us do it side by side, right? Now, this feature is not perfect. You still have to make some modifications, but it will give you a very good base. So let's assume 70 to 80% of your script creation can be covered using this. But there is some effort involved in uh, making it 100% automated with low maintenance, right? So that effort will still be there, but then it will give you a good base of ramping up quickly, right? So let's assume you're running a manual test. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to uh, install this recorder, which says Catalan Recorder. It's a feature from Catalan Studio tool, but it's free of cost, so you can use this. What it will do is it will record your actions the on the UI, right? So add this. I have already installed, so it's giving me the option removing from Chrome, but you should have an option of installing in Chrome. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick up a website, let's say Yahoo Finance. So what I'm gonna do is let's do this. Let's start with a new recording. Okay. Can you guys see the recorder?
No, we cannot see it.
Oh no, you cannot. Okay. Just a sec. So I'll give you some time to install the recorder. Can you guys see it now?
Yes.
Okay. So let's create a new test. Um, I'll keep it whatever name it is, and I'll start recording. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to ca.finance.yahoo.com, and then I'm going to go to a link, let's say DAO, and then I am going to navigate through some of the tabs, right? So let's navigate to chart, conversations. So if you look here, it's getting recorded, right? Not a very readable in a very readable format, but it is getting recorded, right? Historical data. And let's say that's it, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop the recording now. And if you look here, there is a command called open. That's what it recorded. And I opened ca.finance.yahoo.com. Then I clicked on the link DAO. Then I clicked on the link chart, but it's giving me an XPath, which is non-readable. So we'll improve that. And then we move to another link called conversations. And then we'll click on link historical data. Now, how to get this test into SeleniumBase, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do an export, and we're gonna select Python 2 WebDriver plus unit test, and I'm gonna copy it to clipboard. Once I've done that, I'm gonna go here and create a Python file. So I'm gonna name it as converted.py. And then I'm gonna open this, and then I'm gonna paste this file here. This is the exported version of what we did, right? Don't need to be worried about what's inside there because we are going to convert this. And once it is converted, it will look really simple. So this is what I did. Now let's do the convert, right? So what we're gonna do is we'll go inside the folder, and then we will type the command called SeleniumBase, and then we'll convert the file converted.py. Once I click on this, it created another file called converted underscore seleniumbase.py. So underscore SB. So what it helped me. So if I open this file and look at it, this is what I'm getting, right? So this is a converted test from the recording to your Selenium base, right? Very nice feature if you're running manual tests and if you want to create a base for your test. without getting involved into starting from scratch, this gives you a very good base of your test, right? And also it will help you see if there are some of the objects that are not being identified by normal process. Then you have to figure out how to implement some of the more complex ways to find that particular element, right? But this gives a very sturdy base of any test creation, right? And it will reduce a lot of time for you to jump into automation as well as creation of scripts, right? So it will give you 70-80% of the work that you would have done anyways. It will already do that for you, right? It's not a very good uh, formatted script. The idea is that you get something, but then when you do a framework implementation, you don't write like this, right? So you create an object repository and you place all your objects there. You will still be doing that, but this will help you save a lot of time in going back and forth uh, through your uh, s- automation script creation process, right? So once we have completed this, so if we try to run it, so let's run this. So we'll run, let's try to run this and see if it is able to replicate whatever we have done. So it open yahoofinance.com. It should be clicking on DAO now. Once it clicked on DAO, it should be going through chart, conversations, and historical data, right? So our test is successful. We should be able to run it, but this is not a robust test. So mind you that even if it is giving you a complete script for execution, it is not a robust test because anything that changes in the UI will render this as a fail, right? Because let's say uh, under list, they add a couple more items. So if I look here in the Yahoo Finance, they add one more tab here or one more tab here. What will happen is all these objects will start filling because the uh, order has changed, right? So that will prove a lot. That will consume a lot of time doing maintenance, right? Some of the links are really good. Some of the objects are really good, like link is equal to DAO. The probability of changing this is very minimum. A link is equal to historical data. Probability of changing this is very minimum. But if you look at this can change anytime, right? It's not even readable, right? So I cannot tell what exactly it is doing. I don't know which object this is. I if I do the execution, I know this is chart, but then if I'm reading the script, I cannot clearly make out what this exactly means, right? Until unless I execute this, there is no way for me to know what is the workflow of this test. From the readability perspective, this is pretty easy saying I'm opening this site, I'm clicking on link DAO or I'm clicking on link historical data. Uh, if I have some business knowledge or understanding of my web app, I should be able to make it. But if I look at this, it doesn't give me anything, right? I don't even know what links are there, right? So from readability and maintainability perspective, this still needs some work to be done. So let's do that work, right? So I'm gonna share Chrome. So let's look at what it means, right? Let's go to back to what we did, right? We went to DAO. So let's click on DAO. I'm going to use F12 to identify the objects or the elements. So I'm clicking on DAO. So when I clicked on DAO, that was pretty much laid out there. But when I clicked on the next one, which is the chart, that was not laid out properly for me. So if I can go here and click here, let's inspect this element. You can either right click on this and inspect, or you can use this button to inspect the element. So if I look here, it says it's a link with a tag A, but that link doesn't give me enough info on it what that really is, right? From the readability perspective, I can use href, but then again, it's very difficult for me to read and say this is exactly what it means, like link chart or link historical data, right? So let's modify this, right? So I'm going to do a control F. Now, once I do control F on this elements tab under F12, it will give me uh, an idea on if I enter something here like a selector or XPath, it should highlight that, right? So we're going to use for this purpose, let's use uh, a relative path for XPath, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, so when I do two double slash for XPath, that means it's relative. It will look inside the whole page, right? And not in a specific section. And then I'm gonna add this. So it's giving me something, right? So star means I am selecting. So even if I do a span here, it won't find it because it's under translate. If I do translate, it should get highlighted, right? So the tag here is translate. And under that tag, it's looking for a text with the value chart, right? What I'm doing right now is I'm even removing translate, right? To make it more readable. Translate tag, uh, uh, you can use translate tag, but then uh, it's up to you, right? It's how you think it's more optimized. But right now, I'm doing star, which means relative XPath in any page, look for any tags, not just translate tag, but look for any tag that has a text chart, right? Now, once I reach there, I know it got highlighted in yellow. And if I hover over that yellow portion, it will show me in this area what that object is. So if I go here, so it highlighted the chart value here, and it's giving me that the detail of that, right? Now, if I want to click on it, right, there might be a chance that I will not be able to click on it because it's so embedded under the link. So if I let's go one level on top of it, right? So the translate tag, let's go one level on top of it. Span, it's still highlighting the same value, right? That means it's embedded under span. And if I go one level more top, it's a link, right? A link is more to click on a link is more robust than clicking on a translate tag. The reason being that it's so embedded that it might create an overlay on top of this translate object, and we might not be able to click on it because there are a couple of overlays on top of it, right? So I want to click on this A link. I don't want to click on this translate tag. I want to click on here. So I'll go one level up. So to go one level up, I can use this. So now if I do slash dot dot, I go one level up. I need to go one more level up, right? So let's do one more. Now this one is highlighted. Now I can click on it. So let's change it, right? And if I go uh, here on the screen, I can see that after clicking on DAO, I clicked on chart, right? The summary is by default enabled. So I clicked on chart, right? So let's go and change this. So if I change this, now it's pretty readable for me. That means I'm going in the page. So these double slash means it's a relative path and it can be anywhere located inside your DOM, right? And then I'm looking for any tag that has a text of chart, right? And then I'm going one level up on that, uh, on the element that I've found, right? So I'm going two level up. Still not perfect, but readable, right? and the possibility of this getting changed is minimum. So that the idea is that uh, you, even if there is a change, the adaptability of the change and maintainability of that change is very minimum, right? The best way to go about is use a CSS selector, but there are certain limitations to CSS selection until unless it's really straightforward implementation of CSS. It's a little trickier from that perspective, right? Okay, so let's run this again and see if this works. So it should click on DAO. It's clicking on chart, so it's working. It's clicking on conversations, and then it's clicking on historical data. So the same way you can add the conversation like this. So if I just change it to conversations and see if it's able to find it. Right. So now the link got highlighted. So I can just change this to conversations and done. Right. So now it's pretty readable saying I'm going to this. I'm clicking on link DAO. I'm clicking on the text uh, with a value chart. Then I'm clicking on a link with text to value conversation. And then I'm clicking on historical data, right? So no page is perfect. There might be multiple developers working on a single page, and they might have different implementations of how CSS and X paths are tagged together. So if you look at the uh, these two, link DAO and link historical data, they're pretty much straightforward, right? So, uh, and the in between two are different implementations of CSS and XPath, right? Now, it might be that that the first the the good ones might be written a long time back or written just right now, and these two were written at a different time by a different developer, right? So we can't assume that a page is perfect. The only thing is how best we can optimize that, right? Uh, there might be different developers working on the same page or uh, same set of rules, but they will have different implementations, or they can have same implementation if the guidelines are there. But sometimes uh, the implementation changes from developer to developer, right? or or in that frame of mind, it might be a different time frame when they were implemented, right? Uh, so a page can have multiple variants of the same thing, right? But we need to make sure that by selecting the right CSS and XPath, we optimize those and make the script more readable, right? So it's easier to understand, it's easier to maintain. We exactly know what's going on here. If I give the previous link that was generated using the Catalan Studio, it was not readable for me in the sense that I didn't know what the workflow was doing, right? Now I exactly know what the workflow is doing. Any questions till now? No? Okay, so a very good feature of Selenium Base is that it's integrated with Catalan Recorder. So if you want to create, jumpstart your automated test, with some of the base that will be built, you can use Catalan Recorder to do that. And then you can use the inbuilt function of Selenium Base where it will convert that Catalan Studio into a Selenium Base script. Great. Now let's talk about some of the things that Selenium Base provides us, right? Some of the actions. I'll walk through the library now. So uh, it will help you gain an understanding of what Selenium Base can do in terms of actions and what are the things it comes inbuilt with, right? So you don't need to do any implementation on Selenium for those action items, but this framework is pretty flexible, so you can definitely use implement your own Selenium abstract functions on top of it, right? So it does give you the flexibility to implement something for the Selenium library, but as a Selenium base library, it does comes with a lot of inbuilt functions, right? But it's not that if the Selenium based library is missing some functions, you cannot implement those functions. You can use the Selenium library, uh, which is a dependency of Selenium base as well. So you can use that WebDriver library and implement your own abstract layer functions. The idea is that, let's say tomorrow Selenium gets upgraded, right? And Selenium base doesn't get upgraded. So how do you take advantage of the new features that are there in Selenium, right? So you need to implement your own functions. Still, uh, the contributors that are working on Selenium base comes up with those new feature addition in Selenium base, right? So you will have some lag period between that. Might be the case that in future those contributors are not that active anymore, which is a very probable case, right? Uh, they don't have time to work on the Selenium base library, right? Now, you have already implemented this framework in your enterprise, but then you'll not be able to take any advantage of the new features in Selenium. So, but this gives you the flexibility to implement those functions at Selenium level as well. So let me walk you through the library functions. So if I go here, let me increase the font size. Okay, so these are most of the important functions that I've filtered out from the whole library, and then I will walk you through the library as well, right? But these are the most important functions that I think helps you understand the library, right? So if you want to open any page, you need to just do self.open and provide the value of what page you want to open, right? And then it has navigation functions like go back, go forward, refresh page. Uh, this one returns the current URL of the page. And this one is very helpful, which not many people use. This is it returns the current page source, right? So it gives you the whole DOM uh, tree structure of your page, right? And then this will help you find element with whatever selector you're doing, and then sending keys to that, right? So you can send space, backspace, and then enter, right? You can fetch text from a particular element. So it's currently this one fetches text from header h2, and then you can get attributes of a particular object. So let's say there is an image with so hash means ID. So there is an image with ID comic. We need to get the title of that image. So I can do self.get attribute, and this is how the implementation is, right? This is very helpful function as well, which is element present. So it will wait for a particular element to be present or loaded, and you can specify a timeout at this level, or you can specify at global level as well, right? There, especially with the Ajax and Angular versions, now not the whole page is refreshed, right? Only a specific component is refreshed with the new UI technologies. So wait for element present really becomes important, right? And this does away with any of the implementation of thread.sleep or sleep timers. You can implement this and remove any of the sleep that is there in your framework. Wait for element visible. The element might be present, but it might not be visible, right? So there's a differentiation between the two. The element can be present, but it is a hidden element, right? It's not visible, but this one means that it should be visible, right? Then you're clicking on something which is you can use a partial implementation of CSS with let's say with a link, with a name, and you can provide half name, right? You don't need to provide the full name of that particular link. So there might be a chance that if you look here, there can be a link with, so if you look here, this link is full screen. If I just provide screen, it will still click on this, right? So that way it will help reduce the time. Self.assert true. These are some of the two assertions that you can do. Assert true and assert equal. Assert true means that something is equal to a variable or anything. And then assert equal does almost the same thing, where uh, it has to be a complete match irrespective, right? Is element present? It's the same one, I guess. Switch to window. So let's assume you're clicking on something and it opens a new window. When you go to the new window, it will create an index of 1. So you can use that for the latest window. Switch to default content. So let's assume you are opening 3 windows. That way, then you will have those navigated as 1, 2, and 3. Switch to default content means it will revert to index 0, which is your main window. There is a inbuilt wait and accept for any kind of alert that pops up in Chrome. So you can basically do wait and accept for an alert, and it will automatically do an accept, or it can automatically do a dismiss, right? This is a very important function, which is jQuery functions. You can execute your jQuery scripts using this functionality. Why do we do that? The reason is that there there are going to be certain elements that you will not be able to click using the normal click functionality, because it might be an overlay on top of something, or there are uh, certain things that if you want to go to a certain page, if it is not visible, how do you do click on it, right? So those kind of things will pop up in any application. So in order to avoid that, there is a workaround, which is you can execute the jQuery directly from Selenium, right? Uh, so this gives you an idea of what a jQuery can do. So execute script, you're running jQuery. Basically, you are scrolling to this position, right? So scrolling the page, it will help you scroll the page to this location. Uh, Very difficult with doing click functionality. And then uh, you can modify page sorts of your application. So anything that is hidden, you can make them visible, right? And then this one basically hovers over, mouse over elements on a page. So any contextual message that is there, you will be able to view once it mouse over that particular element. This one is the input of the text. The the reason why we execute jQuery, one of the main reason is the execution is really fast on jQuery, because it directly hits the DOM element of that particular page, right? Or the DOM structure. So it bypasses other things, which is basically your UI. So it directly hits the DOM. Now that being said, right, it's not ideal to use jQuery all the time because it doesn't really impersonate a user, right? Because a user will not be able to will not be running any jQuery, right? He will be doing clicks. So to impersonate a user, do not use jQuery. jQuery is only used when all the other methods fail, right? The workarounds fail. So that way we can do that, right? Drop down a link click. So it will click on the elements. Again, this execution is really fast. It doesn't go through the UI. It directly hits the DOM, right? And this one returns the text of the element, right? And this one is basically returns the CSS value of the third text area of on the element of the page, right? So you can run, if you're familiar with the jQuery, you can execute directly on uh, this console, right? So if you run any jQuery on this console, it should be able to do that, right? So it's the same jQuery that you can use in the script uh, and take benefit of any workaround or anything that you're not able to do using simple functions. And then you have a deferred assert element. So what it means is it will do an assert, right? But it will not stop the test for you, right? So generally what assert does is it will fail the test at that point in instance itself, and then it doesn't execute further. A deferred assert will help you execute the full script, but at the end of the script, it will fail, right? Because there is an assertion failure, but it won't stop the script execution. In normal asserts, any assert, be it Java, be it Python, any assert that we do, it basically stops the script right there, right? And then you have different capabilities that you can use. Uh, I'll dig into this detail later, which is what capabilities we can use. And then again, this is basically the driver implementation, right? So this function is not a Selenium-based function. This function is a Selenium function. So you can use the driver class and use the driver class to use Selenium functions or create your own functions using Selenium functions, right? So if any new feature gets added, you can utilize using the driver library, right? So the driver is your Selenium library. So you can use this, and then you can implement any of the functionality that is directly uh, coming from the Selenium library, and it bypasses the Selenium-based library, right? And then a couple of PyTest features are that you can reruns any failed test. So let's assume this test fails. It will wait for 1 second and then it will rerun again, right? So it will rerun 5 times uh, to make sure that our tests are robust, right? So sometimes what happens is if our tests are not robust, they're passing, sometimes they're failing sometimes. So you can use this feature to run it 5 times, and whenever it passes, it exits. But then you're making sure that you have executed them enough to remove any possibility of false failures, right? This is not a Selenium-based feature, it's a PyTest feature, but I thought it's really important for you to understand this. So let's, any questions till now? Any questions on this? No? Okay. So let's go to an actual Selenium-based API implementation and see what methods they provide. So they have a API reference guide, which you can use to see what are the implementations that they have. So some of the method definitions that I've already shown is there, but then there are a lot more, right? So this is a open URL, get URL. So if you're on a particular page, if you want that URL name to be fetched, you can use this. Click, you can do a slow click, you can do a double click, you can do a click chain as well, right? You can update text, you can add text, you can submit, refresh page, get current URL, get page source, get title, get user agent, go back, go forward. So there is a lot of implementation which you can utilize. So you go into this API reference and see all those methods. Some of the important ones that I've not added, it might be a partial link text visible, uh, get the link attributes, uh, click partial link, no, get tags, get attributes. So you can set attribute as well, but it's not recommended, but you can do that. Uh, and then get the property value. So if a selector has some property, you can get that value out. Uh, the, the implementation on at the Selenium level is way heavier. This is just a one-liner, right? So uh, those kind of things are really taken care of by Selenium base. But then if there is a new functionality, I'm not sure how fast the implementation is for you to utilize. Click nth visible element, and you will talk about, you can provide your number or n value, right? Uh, and you can check if it is selected, some element is selected, check if it is unselect, unselect if selected. So all these are really good implementations on top of Selenium because it will save you a lot of time because it has all these have already inbuilt exception handlers, right? And so you don't have to implement anything. It already comes by default. The logging and the exception handlers is element in an iframe. If yes, then you do switch to that frame of an element and then click on that element, right? And then it has a hover and click, hover and double click, drag and drop also. Select options by index, open HTML file. If you're having an HTML file, you can load it, you can open it, and you can execute different scripts. You can also execute async scripts as well. You can set the window size. You can, again, these are we have already talked about, or you can open a new window. So whenever you click on some link, it will open in a new window if you select this, and then you can switch. So this is the new driver. So you can switch to that Selenium driver, and then you can implement all those functionalities. You can save page sort. So sometimes you want to give developer an understanding of where exactly it failed. So it will save the page source for you, and then you can send that to the developer. It will also save the screenshots for you. It will also save cookies for you. And then if you want a base implementation where you don't want any previous records, you can delete the cookies. So there is a separate wait for Angular JS. You can implement that. Uh, you can bring some of the elements to front in order to click on it. You can highlight some of the text. So if you want to debug and want to see, you can use this highlight option. Uh, you can also enable it at the global level, right? You don't have to implement only at the function level. This also tells me how many times do I need to highlight this. So I wanted to flash it 3 times, right? Press up arrow, down arrow, show element, click, scroll to button, bottom. And again, you can also do an add block. You can remove some certain elements from the page source itself. You can hide those elements as well. And then you can do some scraping from the website as well using this, right? You can get all the unique links, right? You can get status codes, uh, and you can assert if the status code is not 404, right? And then unique links with status code. So you click on each link. So what it will do is whatever links it will find on a page, it will click on them and print the unique links with status code if those are working or broken, right? It also does a PDF read, so it's not perfect though, but you can still get some basic text out of the PDF, and then you can assert that. And then there are some more. You can save data as something. You can save those files. You can save element as image. So any element that is there, you can get that as an image. So let's say there is a button that you have provided. It will save that button as an image file. And then you can go to downloads folder, get path of downloaded file, and then assert some of the downloaded files as well. And there are some of the asserts that these two are the more important that I talked about, but then you can use multiple asserts. You can assert title, assert there is no JavaScript errors, inspect HTML as well, right? And then you can clear your storage, local storage. You can clear session storage. You can add CSS, add JS link, and then it also gives you a flexibility from the reporting perspective to create presentations and slides, and you can create those using your trend lines. You can create pie charts, bar charts, column charts. So in order to explain that, I'll go in one more section. And then you can create tours as well, right? So let's assume you want to go for a business meeting. You want to showcase what tests have been performed. So you can create a tour guide for them and exactly show how you tested. So that will create a tour guide for you as well, right? And then the email once you can have post message and highlight. You can have success set messenger theme, and then these are basically not from the testing perspective, but from uh, basically additional feature perspective going into it. And then you can have fail messages that you can inherit from unit test, and then you can give your custom messages to it, right? And then let's go to some of the functionality of it. So what we talked about. So if you go here, if you look here, there are some of the things. So it also does the mobile execution. I wouldn't recommend it, but definitely if you're just running uh, for let's say you just want to test for on a couple of devices, you can use this, but it's not a wholesome solution for mobile testing. But definitely helpful considering you don't have to change your scripts, right? And then you have this presenter mode. So basically what it does is you can create this presentation using the codes, and then you can present this to whoever you want to present. More from the master QA, one thing that I missed is that you can have manual verification steps alongside the automation, right? So what it does is it runs the automation, then it will ask you the messages, and for you to have an accept or a cancel button. So what it will do is once you run this, you pass it or fail it at that particular step. So it's more like a manual validation that you're doing with your eyes as well. It does run through automation, but then it gives you uh, uh, an instance of a manual run where you verify manually at every step and does a pass or a fail, right? Very good feature if you are just getting started on doing it, right? And then the chart maker, this one is a good one as well. So you can create your trend line charts based on what failed, what passed, and how you want to present. It can create column charts, bar charts, line charts, and pie charts. And the tools, right? Another important factor, if you want to go to a business meeting, you can have this set up for the business team so that you can go and look at that particular test and perform the action. So it will run the script, but it will provide these boxes for the business user to actually see what is happening or getting an explanation of what is happening. Again, this all gets derived from your test, so you don't have to put a lot of effort in creating these things. Another important factor is the visual test. So what it will do is it will save your page or your specified area, and it will save it in your repository. And the next time it runs, if you have the visual test enabled, it will do a pixel by pixel comparison, and then it will tell you it's a pass or a fail, right? And it will give you error messages here, and will compare images side by side to tell you why exactly it failed. Any questions till now? If not, then that's pretty much it. What Selenium Base can do. It's a great feature-rich framework. You can use it for multiple purposes. It's just that if you know your use case, be it testing, be it creating a tool for your business associates, or doing manual validations along with automated, uh, and and to do a visual test, right? Very feature rich. Whatever you can think of, it's already there, right? And more, right? So it depends on what your use case is and where you want to use Selenium Base, but this is one of the top frameworks at this point in terms of a wrapper of Selenium, uh, and very low maintenance, good ramp up uh, ramp up features with conversions from Catalan Studio. A very good framework, right? So That's it from my side for today. Kader, you have anything to add?
No, Sumit, all good, all good. Let me just quickly check here the attendance and take the attendance for certification. Just a minute. Okay, got it. All good, Sumit. Excellent
Well,
session. So this is your third session, right? On Selenium Base. You have three more, if I'm not wrong.
yep, yep. I have two more.
Hmm,
Oh, no, I
okay,
have three more. I don't know. No, I have two more. So,
three more. I think this is the third session, right? Let me ask Joy. Joy, this is the third session, no? Hey, Joy.
I think so, Kader, but I have to check too. And there were two videos, so this is the third one. Kader, this is the third one. I know there are two videos.
This
Awesome.
is the third one.
oh, this is the third one. Okay. So,
Yeah.
oh yeah. So, the next session will be on framework and CI/CD pipelines, and then we'll have one more session on the project review, and that's it. We don't need six sessions, so we'll give 1 week rest to everyone before we jump into robot framework, or we can give more time for the project implementation.
Yeah, we
We'll,
can
we'll
do Q&A, if not 1 hour, right? But at least we can do a Q&A, and then the last day we need to collect the names to make sure the certificates
yep,
are,
yep.
prepared, right? So we are still working on the previous sessions to provide the certificates, but Nahendra is working on it. I'm expecting from him to get things done by this week so we can start working on the certificates and send it to the email, send it by email. Perfect. So what else I can say? So there is someone joined with the name K. I don't know who is that. If you can acknowledge, I would be happy. Um,
Hey, this is Krutarth here. I just joined. Initially, I was not able to join the link, but somehow I managed. So I'm test automation engineer and working with one of the construction companies.
okay.
And I got to know about this from one of my colleague.
Awesome. Awesome. So spread the news. By the way, next, can you type your name, full
Yep,
name? And
sure.
also, I don't think that you have a Microsoft account with us. You have joined as a guest. So we'll create an account for you and then we will send it to you.
Okay, perfect. Sure. Thank you.
And
So
the
I just
program team, can you also share the WhatsApp link for him to join the closed WhatsApp group of Codeathon, please?
Yeah.
do you
Okay.
want my number or something like that?
No, we will send you the WhatsApp link. You can join, right? For the privacy reason, we don't want to get your number, right? Email address is good.
Okay, sure. Okay, thanks.
All right, good. What else? Everyone else is more or less have an account and they have joined through this, which is good. Which is good.
Oh, I see.
All
Okay,
right. So
sure. Next time I will try. Sorry.
perfect. No. You're good. You're good. I saw you sent an email. Our programs team will create an account, and you also see in the chat there is a WhatsApp group, so you can click and join that closed WhatsApp group as well.
Yes,
So
for
normally
sure. Yeah.
we use that for emergency communication, like the session is cancelled and stuff like that. But most
Mhm.
of the communication happens through the teams.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's like a Slack, right? So the Q&As and everything happens through the teams.
Also,
Perfect.
we have
So I'll
Slack
let
as
you
well.
guys. Sorry.
Do we have a Slack as well?
Oh, the Teams is like Slack.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of Slack, we use Teams.
Oh, sure. And so are you guys going to create one account for me and then send it to me, or?
Yeah. So they will be creating an account. Once the account is created, you will be sent an email. Then you can create login and password with this email.
Mhm.
You should be able to get into the team, same like Slack, right? The same.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And I think this is my first section, and I believe this is not the first session, right? I think it's third.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the third for Selenium Base, but after Selenium Base, we have other sessions, which is in the Eventbrite. You should actually go to the Eventbrite, search Testoper, as well as go to the YouTube, search Testoper. You would see all the old session videos, so you can go through them and learn them offline.
Yeah, I was about to ask that, like, can I access the previous session?
Yes, you can access. It's all in the YouTube. Only thing is the
Mhm.
people who join the live sessions and have an attendance more than 80% gets the certificate of attendance from us, right?
I see. Okay.
Outside of that, those who do not need certificate, just want to learn, I mean, they can join, they can look at the YouTube. We recommend them to join the session so that we can create action around, the live feeling, right? Already we are
Right.
sitting at home watching too many things, so we don't get to speak. So
Yeah.
I don't give up an opportunity if there is a chance to speak anyway. So
Sure.
Sumit knows.
Sure. Yeah.
All
Next time I'll try to join on time so then I can also participate.
Yes, perfect. So guys, let's close the call. Please talk to your friends, invite your friends, talk to your companies to help us to sponsor, to run this nonprofit nonprofit organization, right? With that, let's close the session and let's continue our next session this Saturday on cloud and Wednesday on test automation. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.